Not recording. Now we're recording. We will.
So if Gabriel asks you guys a question and you want to answer it, come over on my side when we're in discussion time, so you can be heard. I don't think there'll be an issue of being heard in here, but your mic will be off. So.
Yes.
I see Jill's head. Jill, I don't think that counts. I think
I don't see the rest of the gallery of people. It's just you.
Oh,
is there a way to
yes,
go?
let me come over and help you, Heidi.
Perfect. I'm going to be on the floor.
a little bit bigger. And you're going to do a gallery view like that.
Okay.
And you can adjust the top of the screen if you want to tip that down a little bit more to see yourself or to be seen, or use your blocks to.
Got it.
Oh.
Hey, Carly.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How about you?
We're good. Very good. Sarah, long time no see. You look great. It's good to see your face.
You too.
Thank you.
So you've taken this class before?
Gabriel has taught in person with us at the studio. It was about a year ago, and when was it? It was either October or November, but this is a brand new series. So this will be head, neck, shoulder today. Then next, I believe, is lower back, and then, legs, feet the following week.
Okay.
So the next 3 months are dedicated to Gabriel.
Okay.
And if it's something too, oh, you got in, okay. If it's something too that you're thinking, hey, I wanna come in person, you're welcome to reach out to me and you can kind of do what we're doing. Those of us that are wearing masks, we're here live, and then we'll take our masks off when we start practicing.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just a thing through Zoom.
Yeah, I mean, it is. We have to keep it limited, right? Like, we can't have a full class. It's kind of after the point. I have to step away from the camera for a minute, help somebody get set up, okay?
Okay.
Hi, Dad. How are you? Okay, how are you? Good, good. Once you get your shoes up, I'll have you put your shoes in the cubby. Then we're going to like this. You have your laptop, right?
I heard that too.
Yeah. Okay, let me see if I can get a fourth one going.
Hi.
Oh, sorry. I'm tired. Oh. This might be an issue for you because this is like my oldest computer
Like your man.
I've ever had. And
It feels like soft. Is it soft?
yeah,
Like,
really nice and sticky.
yeah, that's good. I'm Corey, but I don't think I've ever met you. I'm Jill. Jill, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I just got it because I've been doing the Tuesday hot yoga. And
Okay.
I was like,
Slips. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely nice to get. That's why I wear the grippy socks, even though sometimes it gets hot, it's something on the feet, but they do help. Like at homes, I have wood floors, and then I put the mat, this mat, pretty grippy, but
that is a systematic issue. Jill, you've got about 2 hours. Oh, you made it into the wall. I had to, nope, sorry.
oh,
You
don't
don't
need
need
it,
it 'cause-
just so you know. They're done with it.
Hello, I'm there.
Hi, Gabriel.
Sorry I'm getting on a little later than I'd like, but anyway, you're here. Want to connect to share my screen?
Yep. Can somebody help me get this computer set up, possibly with the extensions?
Yep.
Hey there, Gabriel.
Hello, dear.
We're gonna make you the host.
Again.
Make the host.
It wants to.
Okay. Does that work on your side, Gabriel?
I'm going to let you know in one moment.
Okay.
I don't know if. Oh, wait. Hold on. Oh, wait a minute. Set this one.
I'm gonna help somebody else get set up with a few props, so I'll be right back.
This extension though won't work. Prong,
Okay.
you know what I mean? And this is 3-prong.
We'll just bring the computer.
Hello. Hello to all the people who are out there. Glad that you're here. Thank you so much for coming. We have a very nice crowd tonight, which is lovely. Is anybody checking in with us who's not from Illinois, Wisconsin? Somebody, where are you from? Rochelle, where are you checking in from?
Washington, D.C.
That's wonderful. How'd you find out about this?
My friend Mike who's on here.
That's great. All right, where's Mike? Is that you up there, Mike? Thank you very much for letting her know. Appreciate that very much.
Thanks. I met you before. It was very good.
For the Zoom and stuff.
Glad that you're here. All right, so nice. So
Zoom
here's
account.
what's going to happen. 6:15 is our starting time. We usually have some people who get on late for whatever reason, so we give a 5-minute lag time, and then we really get going. But in the meantime, anybody have any questions before we get going? Now's a good time if you have something personal, because once we get rolling, it's a very full evening of programming. Hi, Matt. Glad you're there. Good to see you. Let's see. All right. So here's what I suggest. Start off muting yourself, just in case there's background noise. Hi, Eileen. Good to see you. But if any time during my talk, you just can't contain yourself and you have to share something, feel free. And if during the PowerPoint presentation, something I mentioned, it really gives you an energy rise in one way or the other. Try to remember what slide it was so I can comment on it relative to the context of what I was saying. You can write down stuff if you want in the chat line.
Over here now.
Does she want to come and share one on this side?
She can possibly do that, yes.
But at the end, in the Q&A, if there's time for a Q&A, I'd prefer to hear your voice, because it really gives me better insight into where you are and where you might be coming from, rather than just trying to interpret what I see in the written form rather than the oral form, okay? So Tracy, you've got a nice crew tonight, huh?
Yeah, I think we had about 19 sign up. We've got a few screens here of people.
That is so nice. I mean, anytime you can get more than six people in a Zoom session, as far as I'm concerned, that's like in the old days. It's like, 2 or 3 times the amount would probably be in a regular in-person workshop. So I'm really, really thrilled about that.
Yeah, I'm glad that we were able to do that. And thank you so much for your time tonight to teach all of us. We're really grateful for you dedicating the next 3 Mondays to us and our learning.
And vice versa. And don't worry, if any of you NFL fans, will get you home in time for like most of the NFL Monday Night Football thing. So don't worry about that. All righty. What do we do? Oh, this is Therapeutics, right?
Yes, it is.
'Cause everybody's wounded. Everybody's hurting. Right. So I said we're giving another few minutes. So I'm looking, because you're here early, or I should say punctually on time, I'm going to give you the latest breaking acronym to work with. Is there anybody out there who has heard of the term VUCA? V-U-C-A. Anybody? No. Okay, good. Who said yes? No? Okay, good. VUCA. VUCA is an acronym buzzword that friends of mine who are in the corporate America but who are really closet Zen Buddhists and Tibetan meditators in the Dzogchen tradition, are trying to infiltrate the language that's used for corporate project management. But of course, what they're really doing is they're sharing mindfulness meditation secrets under the guise of how to do better selling. And they use the phrase VUCA to indicate the kind of mindfulness that you have necessary, the mindfulness necessary to have if you're going to deal with volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. I'll say that again, because those are, and it's not the only four, but there are four ones that if you chose to like amplify what each one means, you'd realize, oh, these are the things I don't want to deal with. Exactly. And that's why one is weaker in facing those things, because you don't want to deal with it, number one, so you have less experience with it. And they're hard to deal with because the very name that describes what the quality is that you have to wrestle with isn't easy. So when you have to face volatility, how do you deal with negotiating with somebody who's like off the rails? And if you're really honest, you're probably containing your own volatility, because that would only add oil to the fire. But what can you do when you're facing somebody who's like in your face or smash mouth? Very challenging, right? And then uncertainty. Who knows where anything is going? But the truth is, when did anybody really know where anything was going? You're only playing the game during the time when you were winning, so to speak, or you were able to tolerate. You learned how to make the situation tolerable. But behind that was, you're not really sure how it's going to turn out. And then complex, as I want to talk about when we talk about therapeutics, there isn't a single answer. One size doesn't fit all. And when you realize that's not only true just for you when you try to find some kind of solution for yourself, but it's true for everybody else. So that means everybody else is working with the complexity of, we can't reduce it. You know, like when people say, you don't know me, right? When you back people off with that thing, right? You don't know me. What is it? Because it's so complex, right? And then ambiguity, the paradoxes we face, the conflictual things in everyone's life. Every problem has at least two sides, if not more. It's hard to know what the right thing is to do. All right, so everybody get it? VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. All the things that you're going to learn about yoga, right? So now it's 6:15. So we have 5 minutes to do this. So before I chant the invocation, I just want to make you understand this. I can take anything, and I usually do, and turn it into, how is this a yoga equivalent? Has yoga already covered this in some way? And then if a person is not studying yoga, is there a way to explain this or point the person to somebody that's in their daily life? So if they don't become a Hindu-phile or study Eastern philosophy or don't use yogic techniques, can they still get the import of what this is? So first thing, as most of you may know, and I don't know how many teachers there are, how many newbies there are, so I have to go back and forth between kind of a, not dumbing you down, but a reductionistic one-line understanding. But remember, for those of you who are new to yoga or new to my teaching, anytime you try to understand yoga philosophy, the moment you mention a certain word, it's like in Wikipedia having an underline, which realize that if you click that on, it's going to hyperlink you to another explanation. And now it starts expanding your whole idea of the system, because it doesn't take you more than 1 or 2 classes before you realize yoga is not about muscle building in any way. It's about expansion of consciousness. So the first thing they try to tell you is put everything in your life on the bridle of ahimsa. Be as harmless as you possibly can. Be as thoughtfully considerate as you possibly can to leave, ecologically speaking, we say the most minimum carbon footprint. And from the yogic point of view, we say the least harm that you can do. But there's a lot of things that happen in life, I don't know about you, I'm from Brooklyn, that piss me off, that get my dander up. Talk about the volatility. There's something, I'm pulling my hair out about certain things. You're kidding me? And again, if I was a little boy right now at home, You couldn't contain my little wild Indian. I'd be all over the place. It's insane. So I got a lot of pent up energy, and yoga saying, no, damp it down, right? Except that what you end up doing is dousing yourself. Or as I like to say, trying to pad yourself with asbestos so you got so much love inside yourself, it'll just burn you up. So you kind of wet yourself down. So the first thing is realize your own volatility. Stop pointing to other people and how volatile they are. Get a handle. Put your own volatility on the bridle of love. See what happens. That's the first thing. Deal with your own volatility. Second thing is uncertainty. Well, I can tell you right now, ego lives in past and future. A yogi has no future. So if you're really a yoga student, you're not thinking any more than like this next breath. I'm just in the here and now. Of course, your ego out of conditioning is going to constantly go behind to what was and forward to what might be. But your real life is only right now, right here, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And any memory you have is nothing but a thought you have in the present moment. Any anticipation of the future you have is nothing but a thought you have about what might be in the present moment. So it behooves you to always come back to what's happening in the present moment. You want to not deal with uncertainty? Take your next breath. Complexity, yoga is a vast subject. Once you start studying what I would call the mystical physiology, where they start introducing the idea of the kundalini, the dormant potential of your own nervous system that's blocked in so many different ways. We have such congestion from stress and frayed nerves and misinformation and false concepts and outmoded ways of doing things and habitual impressions, the samskars that run so deep that we continue to repeat the same patterns over and over again. It's pretty complex. And yoga can match speeds with that. It can take you into a lot of different rooms. All right, if you're going to go down the rabbit hole, we're going to give you some tools to help you navigate when you're there. But it doesn't try to pretend that it's something simple. You don't get this by snapping your fingers. It's a process for your left brain, because your left brain only understands, yes, you're asking me to do something that I presently can't do, and I have to be exposed to it. I have to practice it. I have to make mistakes. I have to come back and refine it. I have to develop it, and it happens over time. I think everybody understands that part of the process via your left brain. Or as I like to say, do you already have paragraphs? No. In order to have paragraphs, you have to have sentences. And before sentences, you have to have words. And before words, you have to have sounds. And you have to be able to connect the sounds to the certain markings on the paper. And you learn that way to build or cultivate or develop over time. It's the only way it happens. And yet the paradox, and this is what creates not only complexity, but ambiguity is, it's not only a sudden school, not only a gradual school teaching. It's also a sudden school teaching. You get it in the moment. You awaken in the moment. It happens in a nanosecond, which is why you're supposed to pay attention all the time. It's going to happen any second. But the likelihood of the conditioned patterns taking over again happens also again and again, because those are very deeply grooved patterns. But we go back and we chisel it again and again and again. It starts loosening its hold on us. And then all I can say is right away, you can get a realization. But from my point of view, in terms of a critique, it's probably a relatively shallow samadhi. You probably still can see the bottom. But as you get further out, where you can't see the bottom, the truth is kind of dark. And few of us go that far. So you can have instant realizations, but the depth of realization is something that usually for most of us, karmically speaking, doesn't happen in one fell swoop. All right, so that's 5 minutes. I've done the warm up there. Tracy, you don't even need to introduce me anymore.
You've got it covered.
I'm just loose. All right, so here's your mudra for tonight, everybody. I want you to fold your middle and ring finger into your palm and then touch the pinky pads to each other, the index pads to each other, and the thumb pads to each other. And the back of the ring and the pinky fingers are touching each other. Everybody got that? That's called Anahata Mudra, the mudra for opening your heart chakra. And then you can hold it at the level of your chest. And just sit up right now while I chant the invocation and get us aligned with the lineage. Yogena chitasya padena vacham malam sharirasya chavaidya kenam yopakarotam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjalir anatosmi abahu purushakaram shanka chakrasidarinam sahasra shirasam shvetam pranamami patanjalim harihi om. Bow your head. Salute the essence of yoga within yourself. Then keeping your eyes closed, bring your head up on your spine and gently open your eyes. All right, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming tonight. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to give a little Dharma discourse, a little talk about yoga philosophy. And then we're going to have a little PowerPoint presentation on intentionality and its connection to what I call the thrillometer. Intentionality and its connection to the thrillometer. But first, I want to give you a message or two from the elders, the male mentors who've guided me, and they want you to remember something. First, they suggest that everybody does a conscious life review, as if like you were on your deathbed, and you're looking back at all these vignette experiences that have happened to you, whether it's significant experiences of transitions in your life that might have been ritual initiations that you didn't realize happened. You know, you broke a bone when you were 7, you moved when you were 12, your parents got divorced at 20, you know, you had an abortion, no one ever knew, your best friend jumped on the grenade and they got killed and you survived. Whatever it is that happened, you look at your life and you realize many significant things happened over your life that influenced you to be the way you are now, make these decisions that you're making. What you learn from conscious life review is what I call how to domesticate intuition. You realize that there are no pre-digested answers for you at the psychological, emotional level, at the decision-making level. You basically have to work through it yourself, struggle with your own demons, and then you learn how to speak with authority. Because the deepest truth that you can tell is the truth of your own life. You don't have to make up anything, just the way it's been. It's deep because it's authentic. And nobody but you knows exactly what you've been through, no matter how much you can explain it to your brother, your sister, your friend, your spouse, the therapist, your guru, whatever. You're the only one who's actually been there through everything with your little inner child, your little inner teen, your little young man, young woman, and so forth. You're the only one who'll never desert that person, no matter how it seems to be, whether it's good or ill, doesn't matter. You're there, you're the only one. So this is part of something that to accept about your own aloneness gives you a lot of strength. It's important to do this because so many people don't do this reclamation work on their life, and they go through a tremendous hunger significance because they never feel they got appreciated enough for the gifts that they have, and they never had, potentially when they were younger, someone who held space for their sorrow, held space for their loss, held space for the traumatic things that happened to them, that even though they had to suck it up and soldier on, maybe there was someone in your life who shamed you for that, used your vulnerability to their advantage, made you suspicious of trusting other people. So you want to save from death by neglect. Save from death by neglect. Because a lot of people choose not to go into this area of their life. And I think it's a mistake because of what could be mined. You know, like there's precious gems there. They're not just files that have been closed with a verboten sign that don't go here, don't open this up anymore. Because a lot of those things, just like a pearl, it began with an irritation. And then with time and pressure, it changes itself into something beautiful like a diamond. What's the difference between a piece of diamond and coal? Pressure and time. And once you're willing to save from death by neglect, your own story, then they want you to remember that although there's sadness there and hurt there and issues about forgiveness, William Blake says, if a tree survives a blight, let no one say that the fruit is a consequence of the blight. So we all have wonderful gifts that we need to cultivate and strut our stuff in front of other people. People need to see our gifts and get acknowledged for that. And then we also have pain that we have to learn to deal with as wounded healers. Not only just those of us who are teachers, who show by our example how to deal with whatever it is we've dealt with, but every single person, every Jack and Jill among us, just a life of how we choose to live is an example to other people. So that's what my elders say. Now, what my yoga teachers say, are you passionate? Are you on fire for this? This is like the old biblical understanding. If you're lukewarm, I spew you out of my mouth. I'm a burning deity. I want you on fire. I want this to be your default existence when you get up in the morning. I have such interest in this. I can't wait. I need a clone for all the things I'd like to study and like to do. So the way I say it is, have you discovered the dream? Because yoga is a kind of dream, the pursuit of a good story. Have you discovered the dream whose pursuit is self-energizing for an entire life? And maybe yoga is not the form. Yoga is just a word, right? It rose by any other name. Right? If you haven't discovered it, you haven't found your Dharma yet. You haven't found your mission, you could say. Or you could say, I haven't found my purpose. Because the light of that purpose is given to every soul, and the nature of life is self-revealing. So it's on each one of us for you to pay attention. You know, as a meditator, that's the only thing you have to do. From the moment you wake up in the morning to the moment you fall asleep at night, pay attention. Pay attention. It can happen in a second. Pay attention. But we're so used to getting spaced out, distracted, right? Or as the yogis would say, attracted and attached to the externals. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you have a balance in your life and you're not disconnected from the source of your own existence. Or as JC said, I am the vine and you are the branches. Without me, you can do nothing. So are you connected to your spiritual source or not? That's in essence what yoga is trying to do. So it teaches you a success system which never fails, provided you do it diligently, rigorously, continuously, with a kind of devotion. And it's going to confer knowledge on you, and then technique, know-how, and then inspiration. Because the people who you meet along the way, they kind of invite you to take a step up. And you want to. And you do, to whatever extent. Depends, you know, it could be a mild student or an average student or a keen student or a supremely enthusiastic student. It depends on you. How much time do you want to invest? Because the more time you invest, the sooner you get the benefits. Because there are benefits right away, and there are benefits that you're planting seeds in the long term you're going to get as well. So the thing about practicing yoga is, although we do some things in a group, and I love this little quote that says, Satsanga Swargavasa, being with people on the path is like a little bit of heaven. You recognize birds of a feather. The vibe is our tribe. We're the tribe of the future. But like Don Juan told Carlos Castaneda, if you're going to be a warrior or a sorcerer or whatever, a hunter, all the different things he tried to teach him, you end up not with certainty in the eyes of others, but you end up with impeccability in your own eyes. That you want to live with kind of precision and elegance and totality of attention. You don't turn away from looking at anything within yourself or in life. You got a lot of courage. And then you buy into that even though life and being incarnated in a three-dimensional form seems to trap you, that mortality only leads towards a final ending that doesn't seem happy, but yet experience also does everything to deliver you and not just to entrap you. It provides the means for freedom, according to yoga. And spirit does everything short of compelling you to believe. Because if you were compelled by miracles, you wouldn't have any free will. I mean, I guess you could choose to disbelieve a miracle, but the fact that they call it a miracle is usually convincing enough to like make your reason go out the door and say, okay, I believe. But free will means you have to choose it. It can't be imposed upon you. So like I said, that's why one of the reasons why we chant. You want to invoke the presence of the deities and the astral beings on other planes? Well, you have to evoke their presence. You want to invoke a response? Evoke their presence. Ask them. They'll help you. Why go it alone when you have all these other allies and cross planes of existence? So whether or not you remember this, yoga is a heuristic teaching. Aaron J., you remember what I mean by a heuristic teaching? It means it's on you. It's a personal responsibility to substantiate the claims by practicing. We don't ask you to believe a thing. We don't ask you to believe a thing. But come and see for yourself. Taste and find out. Try it. Well, that's all based on the idea that there's something to be found. It's not about looking outside yourself. You all know the story of the musk deer that went to its granny and said, Granny, there's this fantastic smell. Where is it coming from? Oh, you smell the smell, do you? Yeah. Okay, maybe it's coming from one of the four-leggeds. Why don't you go check the forest? So the musk deer went out and, checked out the antelope and the badger and the bison, and every creature that was like, a furry one with four legs, and came back, Grammy, it's not in any of the four-leggeds. No. Maybe you go sniff the feathered ones. Maybe it's coming from them. So the musk deer went out and went to the blue jay, and went to the hummingbird, went to the crane, went to the cardinal, went to the eagle. No, Grandma, it's not coming from any of the feathered ones either. Maybe it's coming from the finned ones. Maybe you go down by the lake and see what's going on. So the musk deer went down to the lake and checked out the bass and the catfish and the frog and the salamander and the trout and salmon. No, Granny, it's not coming from any of the finned ones. Why don't you smell your own belly button? It's coming from me. It's coming from me. Yeah. So that's the basic idea. But you got to stop. You got to stop the world long enough so you're not distracted by something other than you. Stop looking for self-reference outside of yourself, is what yoga is saying. And slow down, because by moving too quickly, you don't observe things. You miss out. And more important is you don't have to be thinking about yourself all the time. Where are you going? You want to be able to do some activities where you basically lose yourself, so to speak. I always ask people, you haven't found your way, you don't know what you're doing? What did you used to do when you were a kid that you could lose yourself for hours in mindless play? That's close. For me, it was playing guitar or playing sports. Didn't have to think about the family, didn't have to think about school, didn't have to think about my love life, didn't have to think about anything. Just loved doing those things so much. I was the activity, because that's part of what you understand. You start studying this, but you end up embodying it. And so when you realize it's all in me, no one can take this journey for me, it gives a very high value to what I would call the pristine clarity of perception, as if that's all there is. Just the phenomenon of being able to be aware, Satchitananda, ultimate awareness, ultimate being, ultimate bliss, or awareness of being is bliss. And through that, you understand there's joy in stillness, not just in movement. So it ultimately wants you to settle down and kind of meditate, right? So if you understand that, friends, then what we're about to do is to take a journey to seek new levels of reality. We're like the Star Trek yogis, to go where no yoga practitioner has ever gone before. But not comparing yourself to what it says in the books about somebody else's. Like, where have you never gone before? That's your Star Trek journey. And what's going to guide you there is continuing to act in as righteous a way as you possibly can, being as kind to everyone as you possibly can, saying the kindest thing in the kindest way to as many people as you possibly can, knowing full well that because of VUCA, it's hard to do that sometimes, but to the extent that you have choice and control, that will create accumulated forces of purity, the paramis, as they say in Buddhist teaching. It'll elevate your consciousness to a higher level. You'll be vibrating at the level of what they call chitta prasadnam, friendliness to all, compassion to all, joy that you generate in your life when you're paying attention to joyful moments that are available to you, and happiness, not envy, for anybody else that's experiencing something good. They're getting a momentary break. If something happening is nice in life, they found love, great. I feel that I'm so happy because in a world where so many people are getting shit, it's a shitstorm for them. That anybody can find another person to have a quiet moment. They can smile at each other. They can talk honestly. They can love each other. Isn't that wonderful? Why begrudge anybody that? And then, of course, learning how to have an indifferent face for evil. And this is a tough one. You know, how far do you go in confronting malfeasance? And how far do you let people who are victims of their own vice be taken care of by the law of karma? And the more you understand about the law of karma, the more you get out of other people's business. Unless you're particularly called to social activism, in which case, you know, the road is long. You need a lot of patience because the changes are incremental. But stay with it. And just remember, even if you're a teacher, there are thousands of teachers and very few students. Learning is an art form as much as teaching is. So I hope you all continue to stay in the swadhyaya aspect of yoga, the constant self-study that is done not only by referring to scriptural texts and the other books that describe the varieties of yogic practices, but once you take language out of religion, anything can turn you to a spiritual awareness. The literature of science or art or music or sociology or anthropology or mythology or psychotherapy, or it doesn't matter the field. When you're seeing it with a wide open, expanded consciousness, it's nothing but spirit in another form. So it's up to you to break the shell. And I'm going to show you how to break the symbolic code. So the images I'm about to show you are all about breaking the symbolic code. How to recognize these things because they're all over the place and have been your whole life. But if nobody taught you to see it that way, then the constant teaching that was being given to you, you passed it by. But that stops tonight. So I'm going to share my screen now and go on to this, right? This is to 8:15, is that right, Tracy?
That's correct.
So I just need you to let me know if, when I do this, if you can see the screen without my presenter's notes, which I'll get together in a second. Still not doing it right. Okay, can you see that without the presenter's notes, yes or no?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you so much for letting me know that. All right, so this is my little PowerPoint presentation called Sankalpa, which is a yoga phrase that means intention. And this is the first thing to understand. I know it seems so selfish and self-centered. To make feeling good top priority, number 2, see number 1. Even the Buddha says, incline your mind to well-being. Right? Lean yourself. Get your default existence into, I want to feel good. Right? It's much easier to do good if you feel good. I'm not saying we can't do good even when we don't feel good. But think of how much more effective you are when you feel good. It's so much easier to do good. So that's the first thing. All right, next. Oops, that's not next. Oh, that's just the people on the thing. Good. There we go. There we go. This is a success system that never fails. It teaches you how to fit things together. Knowledge, know-how, inspiration, remember? Only, though, if you apply it correctly, diligently, vigilantly. You got to stay on top of this. Unfortunately, there's no days off. Why would you want a day off? Once you learn how much more full your life is by paying attention, by investing in yourself, you're worth it. You have to make choices in your life as if you are a person of value. You know, just like you upbraid sometimes your friend, your spouse, or your parents. Hey, you're not taking care of yourself. Why do you lay into them? Because you think they have something of worth and you think they're subjecting themselves to unnecessary suffering by the choices they're making. Yeah, save your best advice for yourself. Because that's the same as in yoga, they call it abhyasa. Long, uninterrupted practice with devotion over time. Reverential. You bring a sense of the sacred. Your whole life is wrapped up in this to a certain extent. Why wouldn't you want to be devoting yourself to that every day? No days off. I don't want a day off. Now, it teaches you that you can willfully direct your attention. You can make things bloom, blossom, flower, or wither and die on the vine by how you attend to it. Your attention is a solid gold magic wand. Whatever you put your attention on, it grows. This is basically the law of attraction. Please say this inside yourself when you hear it, because I have a lot of these one-line mantras that are great. Whatever you focus on, the law of attraction helps to be more. Whatever I focus on, the law of attraction helps to be more. So how many times do you hear me say for my students out there, right? Whatever you practice, you get good at. You become what you practice. What are you practicing? So this is how you build something with your own concentration. All right, so that leads us to this, neuroplasticity. This has been a buzzword in medicine the last 15, 20 years. The ability of the brain and the nervous system in all species to change structurally and functionally as a result of input from the environment. There was a book that was put out by a doctor called Train Your Mind, Change Your Brain. Train your mind, change your brain. Isn't that what all these systems are about? What's called attention density. What is the 8 limbs of yoga except attention density, a mental training that takes you through moral restraints and observations, body postures and pranayama. And remember, just like asana precedes pranayama, so does abhyasa precede vairagya. Abhyasa seems to be much more an external practice involved in the world of form. But as soon as you get to pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, now you're going in. There's more of an involution rather than an evolution. And so you could use this phrase, it changes your happiness set point. Just like when you first do a posture, you can't hold it for more than 15, 20, 30 seconds. Then with practice, you extend it and you can hold it a minute, 5 minutes, tens of minutes. Well, the same way, a lot of people, they can't hold happiness, joy for any length of time. They have a low set point. But you train yourself through mental training, physical exercise, ethical change, study, devotional practices, selfless service. You change your happiness set point. And I'll get back to this later on. Now you have to learn to do this for yourself because your next most radiant self is about to take place. The one that makes all qualities of life worth living. And whether you believe this or not, did you ever see a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger in his heyday? Right? You think he just woke up that way? Even if he took steroids, he had to work to get abs and pecs like that. But you know what? You can work your mental and emotional nature just like somebody else would work their abs and their pecs. And if you worked it with that kind of intensity and focus, you'd make a breakthrough. There's no doubt about that. right? Because they say it in Hatha Yoga Pradipika all the time. Success comes to one who practices, not to one who practices not. So the idea is to set the bar high. Even if you fall short of your endeavor, you'll be a better person than if you never attempted it. Give it a shot. Find out what you got inside you. As I say, it's really throw your heart over the bar and everything else will come with it. There's an old phrase that says, heaven should exceed our reach should exceed our grasp. Otherwise, what's a heaven for? We have to create images, a romance with our imagination that makes us aspire to something that we have inside ourselves that's magnificent, that's wonderful, great, capable of, you can call it divine things, if we don't project anything supernatural on that and use the word divine as qualities of surpassing excellence, qualities that represent the best of what a human being is capable of, or the highest that a human being could conceive of, which almost always will take us back to something that's connected to love and not fear. So if yoga is going to be like a personal growth hormone that you take to enjoy your life more thoroughly, then I'm suggest that you got to get excited about this. This is back to the dream whose pursuit is self-energizing. You got to get jazzed about this. You have to have passion for this. This has to be your default existence, not from I couldn't care less, right? You know, to get a little rise on the meter. This is the thrillometer. No, get that thing all the way going. But again, if you're looking for this outside of yourself, instead of realizing, no, I can generate this inside of myself, then again, you're looking for leadership in Washington. The guru is not outside yourself, even though sometimes it seems to be reflected in an external mirror. So it's always about turning yourself back into the deepest awareness within. So one thing that will help you is being disgusted with the lack of proactive conventional wisdom. More committees, more discussions, more ideas, but no action. You know, like all the sports players, you know, the NFL and the baseball players and the hockey player, everybody, they're saying it's not enough that it was nice that people were walking in the streets a couple of weeks ago, black and white together, right? What's next? What's next? In other words, action, don't talk. What's next? So you can ask yourself that. Are you waiting for somebody else to tell you what to do next? Mm-hmm. Or do you have your own vision? Are you fired in some way? Otherwise, you'll be shooting yourself in the foot. You'll be dropping the ball at the goal line. You'll be raining on your own parade. You'll be shooting down your own butterfly. You'll be pissing on yourself. Because that's what conventional wisdom will teach you. So you got to be a little bit of a rogue, a little bit of a maverick, willing to go your own way. Because you must understand this is about aligning the various aspects of your brain. I'm a believer in the whole idea of the triune brain. We have a brain stem. That's like the oldest part of us, like a reptile. It works on instinct. You don't even have to think. It's like an AI machine inside yourself, right? Intelligence with no consciousness. But then the limbic brain starts coming, the mammalian part of you that does territoriality, pair bonding, watches for the young, rudimentary emotion. You have to connect that to the part of you that did things before without thinking. And then, of course, the prefrontal cortex, self-reflexive awareness starts coming in. So it's like 3 different departments in the same company, but they don't know how to communicate with each other. So you want the think tank part to be in communication with the HR, you know, and then with the finance department, whatever. So they're all sharing their data, sharing their information, being integrated, we might say. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to accept the idea of transformation. You're going to have to go into some kind of cocoon to temporarily pull yourself away from the material plane, which, remember, sometimes they call it Maya, appearance level, the attractive illusion that it creates to find something else that's not in the external world, and so absorb yourself in, I've taken in so much stuff from the world, now I go into my cocoon, and then something happens there. A transformation happens. A change happens. The form becomes completely different. It's no longer just a mere acquisition of knowledge, but all of a sudden, something shifts into something more meaningful that is no longer earthbound. So all I can say is, as the Sufis share, don't make friends with an elephant trainer unless you have room in your house for an elephant. And guess who the elephant trainer is? All right. So that's all I have to say for that part. So now we can have a little Q&A or discussion or comment on anything I said before we go on to the asana part. So unmute yourself if you want, and anybody wants to share something for a couple of minutes. Let's continue with the intellectual thing, because once we do the class at the end of Shavasana, you don't want to have to come back into your intellect. You just want to like float away. So anybody, fair game, comment, question, challenge, new material, add-ons, anything is fair game. Speak up, anybody.
Quick question, Gabriel.
Yes, speak up.
Can you guys hear me?
I can.
So you talked something about death by neglect.
Yes.
Expand on that, please.
Remember I said whatever you give your attention to, it causes it to flower or to wither. So death by neglect means you're not paying attention to it. Neglect even means like maybe even I know that it's there and I consciously choose not to water the plant, you know, or ghost somebody, right? So it's your choice by not using your awareness to recognize that it exists, that it just dies. And some of those things need to be resuscitated. They need to be resurrected. That helpful?
Yes, that is.
Okay,
I have a follow-up, if that's okay.
go ahead.
So you said that you, like you as an us, we choose the balance. So how do we decide like this is the balance?
Again, say that again. What about the balance?
So you said that like no one can choose what is the balance except for you. You as in.
Oh,
we.
yeah, okay. Let me
So
find
how do we decide that which like we are balanced or we're not balanced?
Oh, yeah, okay. So first of all, the word is loaded. Nobody's balanced. There's no 50-50 about anything. We just go back and forth on a continuum of like, you know, like your practice waxes and wanes, right? Sometimes you're more motivated to hit the mat, sometimes you're less, right? So you have to learn to ride the flow, very similar to what I think about Taoist philosophy. When the flood surges, you retreat. When the flood releases, then you advance. So you've heard me say this, but this is for the benefit of the other new students here. Do you recognize what I call the yum and yuck in your life? The yum and the yuck? It's a phrase I picked up from Tom Robbins. From the moment you come out of the womb, you don't have to have any conditioning. You don't have to have any experiences to know right away. Certain things feel good. They're yummy. And so you dilate, you open. You want to take them in, or you're drawn toward them. You could even say at other levels, they seduce you, they tempt you, right? They allure you. And if you trust that, you realize the world is a good place. The world nourishes you. The world feeds you. The world gives you what you need to survive and helps you develop to the next level in a positive experience. But the world also has, you know, creepy things in it. And not every parent is up to the task. No parent gives 100% love. Sometimes they're harsh with the kid. The face, they make an abrupt face. The eyes can like, you know, be menacing, right? Or your peers along the way, things happen that make you feel this is not safe. So I pull back, I contract. It's yucky, whether it's a food, right? But taste the spinach. Try it. Shh, let me hold the baby. Ah, ah. So you start off with that kind of gut training because that's part of your reptilian brain. You immediately know this I feel safe, I open up. I don't feel safe, I pull back. Now, when I call domesticating intuition, now you take that to a much more conscious level on all different ways, which means you got to pay attention. What works, what doesn't work. Which teachings make me feel comfortable with the right kind of appropriate challenge? Which teachings make me feel ashamed of myself and limited, like I don't have the ability or the clout to do this? You pull away from that. You just keep making those choices till you get better and better, and then you learn from your karma. Again, I do this every class, but again, for the benefit of the new people, which means Rochelle, right? I ask people all the time, are you willing to admit in public to yourself and to other people that you know you've made choices where as a result of those choices, things didn't go well for you? Yeah, almost everybody says, yeah, I do realize that. And then I also say, but there's a flip side to that coin. Haven't you made other choices where as a result of those choices, things did go well for you? Yeah, so there's very few people who don't recognize that they know when they've messed up. Like I said, what is knowledge of bad karma? Yeah, hit the golf ball in the bathroom. You know it's going to get you. So knowledge of bad karma is when you know you've done something, you know you can do better than. Everybody understands that. Now, whether you want to cop to it, whether you want to be held accountable for that and live a life of integrity, or you just want to make choices willy-nilly, and then when unintended consequences come along, act like you're a victim or blame somebody else. But who did that? Who did that? You know? So you start owning up to the choices you make. And then, like I said, if you, again, you're inspired by things. This is why I keep saying, find the thing that you love to do. Because you rarely mess up when you're doing what you love to do. It's when you're not doing what you really know you want to be doing or should be doing that you make choices just to get by. Then you usually deny the wound and you live a provisional life, and not good. You're not vital. You're not vital. So find out what you love to do, or you're not sure what you love to do. And who else do you admire? Who do you project your power on? Who carries the energy for you? Who makes the decisions in your life? Who's an action-oriented person in your life? Who's a knowledgeable person in your life? Who's a joyful person in your life? Somebody embodies those archetypal energies for you. So what are those qualities? Enumerate those qualities and then fake it till you make it by imitation, right? Be like Mike. Be like Mike, right? We're from Chicago in the early Michael Jordan era. Everybody understand that? So you remember what he used to say? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? And I said he missed over 300 game-winning shots. 300 game-winning shots he didn't make and the team lost, but did it stop him? No. You still want to take it. You want to be the one to take the last shot, right? Like I tell my daughters all the time, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So make that choice. All right, somebody else chip in. Come on. Who else? Eileen, I can't believe your fertile, intelligent mind doesn't have something to say.
What I was thinking is also what you're talking about is that we have to sometimes realize the conditioning that's preventing us from trying new things. Like we say pull back, but at some points you have to push through. Like what I'm saying, like.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't say sometimes. I would say this is an ongoing thing. I don't know if you ever come to a complete final, I'm comfortable and content with all the conflictual and adversarial relationships that have happened throughout my life, that are happening in the life of all the other people I care about, and the condition of the world. I don't know if you can ever say that, but relative to the small inch field that you're tilling, that you can work yourself during your practice mostly, when it comes to you on your own, you got a lot of control over that.
Yeah.
And does that influence what's going on in the world? Well, I believe it does. Yeah, so it's true, but you have to work on that. So that's part of your commitment. You can call it shadow work, but it's the same thing. Remember, everything that I try to get across philosophically, you learn it on the mat. You learn it on the mat, right? You bump up against poses you can't do well. All right, great. So now you're seeing your limitation. What do you want to do with it? Are you going to learn how to modify it, adjust it, or just choose not to practice and hope that somehow it'll get better by itself? Can't do that. So in the same way, it teaches you, how do I approach things that are beyond what I presently can do? Because let's face it, without buying into the far reaches of yoga, samadhi, moksha, whatever word they want to use for states of consciousness, we don't even really know if they exist or not, because I don't know anybody who's enlightened. Do you? So I didn't even know what it would look like. I guess it takes one to know it. I have to be enlightened myself to recognize another person. So they're talking about things that we're just thinking about. We're creating stories in our head about it. So what can we actually and practically know? Well, you can improve your performance working on the form. There's always something you can do. And if you do it, it makes a difference. It's in your power to do it. So you choose to do that. And then you learn off the mat. From that, off the mat, what did I learn? How do I hang in there with other situations that are not comfortable, but I'm not going to fold. I have resilience. I can get support. What's the equivalent of the prop? So means who do I ask for help on the outside if I'm not using a block, or a belt? Who do I ask to help me in a situation? Same thing.
Staying with your breath, being able to stay present.
Exactly. Yeah, because the breath is nothing but a moment-to-moment awareness, whether you're controlling it digitally or not, or just observing it. It's just teaching you how to continue to pay attention without stopping.
Yeah.
Creating a discontinuity between giving yourself a break so you can space out and drift off and not have to think and go into the past and go into the future, or let me be right here. What brings me here? The next breath. And awareness of anything that arises between now and the next breath that comes after that. And every time I bring my attention back to the next breath, it wipes away any other thought that's there. But you know what? Most people don't stay with that long enough to wipe the thoughts out so the thoughts reassert themselves. That's called samskaras in yoga. And they're very powerful. And so again, it's not until you confront this that you realize VUCA. Right? It's complex, it's ambiguous. You're not sure about whether or not you have to have faith. You're going on a path where I don't even know what the end of this is. Well, why are you doing it? Well, you better have faith that there's something to get there worth putting out the time to do that. Why would you do that if you didn't expect to get something? And yet at the same time, there's volatility. There's so many different forces pulling at us to pull us off the path into the material world. And then there's the seductions of the spirit, as they would say. There's not only just temptations on the material plane, inflated states of consciousness, thinking that you're really high after a weekend workshop when you're just in a dissociated state. And then the moment you come back into your family or your job or whatever, it's right down the rabbit hole again. Post-traumatic stress workshop syndrome that you never recover from. All right, come on, one more person at least. Mandy, how about you? I have to call on people.
Hi.
Hiya.
I guess so the thing that was popping up in my head is how to sort of find a balance between always trying to be your kindness and doing good to others, but at the same time, how did you say it? At the same time, focusing on yourself and doing what's good for you, like especially in times like right now with everything that's going on in the world, I'm kind of finding it hard to share myself with others when it's I'm sorry, I have a really screaming kid in the background, so it's really
We're teaching everybody the real yoga.
Did I make any sense with what I was trying to ask?
You absolutely did. Well,
Okay.
first of all, two parts to that. As soon as you hear the word always or never, already you're in trouble in terms of balance. Nikos Kazantzakis, who wrote Zorba the Greek, said, God is the only one who has the right to say always or never. So even phrasing the question it puts yourself under a tremendous pressure that you can't live up to. That's an inhumane ideal. Perfection is a yardstick with which to beat yourself. So don't do that. Now, you can't force yourself to be kind. But if, like you practice, like I said, chitta prasadam, if you practice, all of a sudden it becomes more and more your natural state of consciousness is to think kindly, thoughtful consideration at the beginning. Now, whether or not you can express it, and again, each person might draw forth from you a different reaction, which is only normal. So again, not everybody's going to elicit from you the feeling of I want to be kind to this person. But then that's an interesting thing of self-observation. What is it about this person that rubs you the wrong way, where all of a sudden the part of you that normally would say, oh, I want to be kind, I want to be loving, I want to project such nice things, all of a sudden, I close my heart to this person. There's something about, right? So that's important. But the real key is that you want to understand how to change your mind into what I would call an affirmative place where you can learn how to say affirmations to yourself that are positive. When you come up with a reason why you can't do it, the question you have to ask yourself has to do with the word because. So when you just said, I find it hard to share myself with people because of all the things that are going on now. So what's the because? If you explore the because, you'll see what's holding the logjam. So for instance, can you articulate one of the things that makes it hard for you to share yourself with people? Because what? And I'm not sorry to put you on the spot because you're doing everybody's work. You're doing everybody's work. The question you're asking is something that every one of us could be wrestling with, but you're just the one who was brave enough to say it. So I don't mean to put you on the spot personally, but you're really doing impersonal work for everybody. So please continue.
Because with everything going on, I guess it's so easy to just stay in my own little bubble. Rather than dealing with opposing opinions and
all right. So it's difficult to open myself to other people because having heated discussions where we differ in opinions is not my cup of tea. Right. So if you're consciously choosing not to do that, then you're saving yourself by drawing good boundaries. Well, I don't know, is that the act of a wise person or is it a cowardly act? Because you don't want to expose yourself to what? Are you threatened by other people's opinions that don't confirm your own confirmation bubble? What's at risk if you listen to other people's opinions that either you don't like or you don't agree with, and therefore I choose to close myself off from them? It's hard to know. Maybe your kind word, maybe your word of listening to an opinion that you don't agree with, but hearing it in a calm, clear way and using reasoning that isn't volatile and angry. You're not spewing anything back to them. Maybe that would be a gift that you'd be able to give them if you chose to share yourself, as opposed to say, no, I'm unskilled in doing this, and because it's hard to do, I'll just back off and not do it. And then in the end, I'll feel more lonely, more isolated, more not willing to reach out. So it's a double-edged sword. Yes, it's risky. There's no doubt about it. But you also have to see the cost of not risking out, of not risking. So one, I wouldn't hold a high ideal. Be as kind to as many people as you can. And those who can't, let it go in the moment. And in your meditation, wish them well. Give them the Mr. Spock, live long and prosper wherever you go. And get in your heart, let go of any kind of vindictive and negative feeling and let it go. And then save your best advice for people where you feel that it's yummy and we can, that's okay too. But again, as you get stronger, like anything, we get different experiences that we can digest spiritually according to our own powers of digestion. Like one saint says, the mother gives, milk to the newborn baby and boiled fish to the young kid and fried fish to the older one and then pickled fish to the one that has the real good powers of digestion. So in the same way, each one of us gets different kinds of spiritual teachings according to what we can digest. So there's nothing wrong at the beginning if you feel that handling people who are really volatile and going off the rails, that's not in my wheelhouse right now. Good, develop other skills of kindness and quietness. And when I say shyness, I don't mean shyness in the sense of you're so bashful you can't meet anybody, but shy away from things where you intuitively know this is the wrong tree to be barking up. And then later on, things may change in your life and you get stronger and maybe you want to take on things like that, but otherwise, not necessary. There are other people, that's their dharma. All right, friends, thanks a lot for that. Wish you could keep on going. You can always get in contact with me after the whole show and we can go back. So now we're about to go into neck and shoulders. I want you to spotlight Tracy. And Tracy, you're recording, right?
I'm recording.
Have you learned to send this to everybody? You know how to save the recording?
I can talk to you about that afterwards, but I can send it up to a week.
Yeah.
I can keep it for about a week because we're going to have you next week, and the duration for Zoom, we'll need to watch it over a week. But I do upload these into MindBody for later viewing. There's no time limit there.
Yeah, right. I'm still learning about it. All right, so here we go. So now we're doing neck and shoulders here. Let me say one or two things about therapeutics in general before we get into this. First of all, I want to make this a learning experience and not just a practicing experience. It's always a challenge, especially when we only have an hour or so to do this. How much should we just take you through it? And how much should we really help you to break it down to understand the principles? And also because in a disparate group like this, where some people I don't know and I've never seen your your asana practice before, and also there's some of you are teachers and some of you are not. So, you know, one of my teachings is what I call age, stage, and constitution. If I was working with any of you individually, or if we were in a class in person where I could vet you with like a student information form, I'd understand something different about how old is the student coming in, what's their background, who did they study with, what's the injury they have. In this format, we can't do that. So we have to kind of make it possible that everyone can do. All can do, as my teacher says. So number one, no one size fits all. Whatever you're facing, even if you both are saying, oh, I both have arthritis or I both have rotator cuff injuries, it's still a very individual thing based on the rest of your anatomy and not just the area where you have a significant problem, right? And the causes of pain that we have, we really have to be realistic about this, especially since we're not here, people are not bringing their x-rays, their MRIs, or telling me how you got it diagnosed. It's not just arthritis, like inflammation of the joints or strained ligaments or strained muscles. You have to also proceed with caution and rule out other things that might be deeper than that. There could be an infection. There could be a cyst. There could be a cancer. There could be an aneurysm. There's so many different things, especially if the pain is acute or comes on suddenly, or nerve interference. I mean, there's so many things that isn't just simply limiting it to what I would call musculoskeletal awareness, which is the outermost layer. And of course, it's the first one in terms of common sense. You know, look at the alignment. You know, look at the strength of the muscle. Look at the length of the muscle. And that's why we want to make it flexible. We want to make it strong, and we want to make it better aligned, right? We also want to take it through range of motion. We want to show how does the shoulder and the neck flex itself? How does it extend itself? How does it rotate itself? How does it do lateral bending? And how do you do those simple movements in the asanas? And how do the asanas combine some of those movements simultaneously? So also, although I'm not cavalier and foolish enough to say, oh, keep on practicing even after you've injured yourself. No, it depends on how much irritation or how much pain there is. But at the same time, remember, bed rest can sometimes do more harm than actively working the area if you know how to choose what's the right poses to work and you don't do it aggressively. Because no one ever hurts themselves from doing yoga. They only hurt themselves from doing aggressive movements, which would be true for any field and not just yoga. So hopefully from some of the poses we'll do today, you'll get a better handle at understanding which of your own muscles need to be stretched because they're tight, which of your own muscles need to be strengthened because they're weak, and which of your own muscles need to be realigned because they're chronically off position. And since the muscles move the bones, if you're asymmetrical in the way the muscles are working, the bones and the joints will be pulled out of place or they'll be squashed. So I hope I don't need to say common sense simply tells you avoid poses that don't feel good. Ask your teacher. And then when you make any changes in position, don't do it suddenly. Move with circumspection. Remember, slow down. And then if we do any position where we ask you to jump apart, step apart. Don't jump apart. All right? So that's that first thing. All right. We are going to teach you tonight, and for those of you I hope who signed up for the whole series, and I'll say this every week because there might be new people coming in next week, right? What we're about to show you is how to work safely within your limitations. One of my mantras is, within my limitation, I'm unlimited. Right? I have learned to change postures, not only for myself, but for all types of students for the last 50 years. And thanks to my teacher, a rarity, there's always something you can do to learn how to lengthen your muscles, strengthen your muscles, align your muscles, decompress your sacroiliac joint, balance the two sides, rotate your spine, invert your spine, use gravity to your effect, find out what the core muscles are besides your abdominal muscles, how to create pelvic stability. You know, a lot of times we're not doing this particular way of approach tonight, but one of the things they teach you in India is you can open your shoulders and neck by how you open your legs and your pelvis. So think about how standing poses. If your legs are weak or asymmetrical in your standing poses, then when you try to turn your chest and stretch your arms and turn your head and neck, your pelvis doesn't support the trunk. So your neck and your shoulders feel worse because your pelvis is not working correctly. And consequently, you might find there's a way of working your neck and your shoulders that open up your hips and your pelvis. So a word to the wise. But we're going to be concentrating on the neck and the shoulders specifically tonight. And Tracy is so kind. She was willing to rehearse with me on her own time. She's so busy running a studio and being a working mom, and yet she took out the time. Isn't she wonderful? Isn't she wonderful?
Oh, thank you, everyone.
This is awesome.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you, Aaron J. Thank you, guys.
All right. So just remember, as we go into this now at the physical level, we are still doing yoga, which means even though our focus seems to be therapeutics, remember, first comes relief, then comes correction. All I'm interested is in doing poses where as we do the pose, it has no pain. The only thing I'm interested in is no pain. If we move and do a pose with or without a prop and you get pain, unmute yourself right away and let me know. I want to see what you're doing. Because to really correct you, first comes relief, then comes correction. It's not just for one night. I'd have to see a student do a series of poses over many classes, and then I'd have a really good insight. So have a low bar of expectation, right? Don't do anything to harm yourself. No aggression, remember? But we're still studying yoga. Everything we're doing is part of Swadhyaya. How do I study about myself? It's all about how does your body work? All right, so let's start off. Pin Tracy, so she's the main thing. Everybody quickly lie on your back with nothing underneath you. And change your camera so that when you're lying down, I can see your body.
Do that. There we go.
Gabriel, can you see me?
I can't except that your name is covering your body, so I can't see you.
I don't know how to change that. We can see you.
Yeah, it's important that you can see. Right, it's fine. I'm spotlighting you so I can see you. Okay, good. That's fine. When I put you on spotlight, I can see you fine. All right,
Thank you.
now, I don't want you to adjust yourself in any way. I just want you to lie down and experience the way the floor is supporting you or not supporting you. Because the truth is, when you stand up and do Shavasana, which we're going to do in a moment, you don't have anything against your back to feel. And beginning students, they have less back body awareness. And Torp, can you drop your camera a little bit more? Thank you, dear. And Carly, I can't see you either. And Catherine, unless you turn your screen on, I can't see you either. All right, so what I want you to notice is how uneven the back of your body is contacting the floor. And don't change. So it's an awareness exercise. Is your head absolutely centered or is it tilted to the right or the left? And if you notice this, don't change, just observe. Is one ear closer to the shoulder, one ear further away from the shoulder? One shoulder blade closer into the spine, one shoulder blade further away from the spine. One arm closer to the side of your body, one arm further away from the body. Is one hand turned up, one hand turned down? Or if both are turned in the same direction, which part of your hand is contacting the floor? Is it the same or different than on the other side? Are the buttock muscles bunched in where one hugs to your tailbone and one pulls away from the spine? How is the rotation of the leg making you aware of which part of your thigh, knee, calf is touching the floor? Fuller on one side, less full on the other side? What's the sense of how far the pinky toe of one foot is high off the floor, closer to the floor on the other side? So notice that all I'm doing is I'm asking a question that asks you to compare one to the other. And since the whole purpose of doing this is to make you understand how your body works, right? I'm not trying to make you to conform to some objective standard. I'm saying subjectively, your own anatomy, do you perceive what it's doing? All right, now here you're kind of just letting it flop. But now we're going to do something more active to show you that even when you're using your will to make something happen and sustain the action, it still isn't asymmetrical. So first, bring your legs together on the midline, join the feet, and have one single seam from the groin through the knees through the heel. Pull the toes back toward your face and stretch the heels away from your face. And in fact, stretch the whole back of your leg from your buttock, hamstring, back of the knee, calf, heel, away from the waistline. Now maintain that action. Squeeze the hips together, squeeze the knees together, squeeze the ankles together. Press the legs down to the floor from the top to the bottom and slightly roll the legs inward toward the midline. Now, while you're doing that, hold the mat with your hands, thumbs on top, fingers on the side, and pull the mat down away from your neck so that the shoulders and the trapezius muscles elongate away from the skull, and with a very slight tuck of the chin, lengthen the back of your neck away from that. Now, in this position, do the same comparison you did when you were lying on the floor and just letting your body go blobbo. The only difference right now is let go of the mat and have your hands facing your hips and stretch your fingers, pinky and thumb, toward the feet. All right, now compare again the shape of your head, the height of the shoulders, the rotation of your chest, which muscles work symmetrically, which muscles work asymmetrically, what part of the body is closer to the midline, what part of the body is further away from the midline. Find what we call the Brahma Sutra, the thread of Brahma. It's really called the plumb line, or the median plane. Crown of your head, tip of your nose, cleft of your chin, jugular notch, space between the breasts, navel, rectum, genitals, that single thread between the groin and the heels. That's your midline. That divides your right and left sides in what they call the sagittal plane. Compare the two and remember this, all right? Take a Kodak shot, a selfie. What do you feel like? All right, inhale, exhale, break your reverie. Take another inhale, bend your knees to your chest. Exhale, roll to your side, stay there for a second. Take another breath. And then gently, slowly press yourself, come on up. All right, so stand in Tadasana. Watch Tracy for a second. So first she's going to stand in Tadasana and she's going to join her feet together on the midline. The balance is a little more precarious when your feet are together. So if you're really having trouble balance, feet wider apart gives you a better base. She turns her hands to face the sides of the thighs. She pulls her arms down. She squeezes the hips in, squeezes the knees in, squeezes the ankles in. She maintains that same action, but now she doesn't have the wall behind her. But yet she still has to compare. What did I learn about how my body was asymmetrical when I was lying down? And what do I have to work now with that awareness that I don't have anything in the back of my body to give me feedback? All right, everybody, do that. Come on, stand up. All right, so we're going to go a little faster. Pull those arms down, roll the shoulders down off your neck. Join the legs and then squeeze the outer hips, squeeze in, the outer knees squeeze in, the outer ankles squeeze in. Lift your chest up from there. All right. Now, watch what Tracy does to help you understand what I call the midline of each leg. This will come back in another pose or two, so pay attention. First, she's going to touch the top of her quadricep, just below the pelvic rim, in the middle of the thigh, higher up than that there, top of the quad, way up, just there you go. Then touch the kneecap right in the center. Then touch the foot between the two ankles right in the center. And then watch how she draws a straight, no, right in the middle of the foot, not between the feet, on top of the foot. Right. She draws a straight line from the middle of the foot, right up through the kneecap, right up to the quadricep. So draw that line with your hands. Bring it all the way up your legs, Tracy. Right there. So visually get a sense of what that line is, all the way up to the top of the quad. Now remember that line. And now re-energize the pose with the arms there and look at your legs and see, are they absolutely on the midline? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you can see Tracy is tilting a little to her left. So you got to shift weight to your right, not your upper body. Shift your hips, shift your left hip toward your right, but don't let your right hip move. Shift more, left hip toward the right, don't let your, there you go. Now lift your left waistline up to the left armpit. There you go. All right. So this is stage 1. Feel the back body, everybody. What's missing that you don't have the floor now? What do you learn about the back of your body and how you have to work it? Stay in Tadasana. Tracy's going to show you the next pose. I hope you all have a belt. If you have a belt, watch what she's going to do. Loop a belt. If your belt is short, you'll need 2 belts. If you don't have a belt, let me know and I'll show you what to do. She makes one big loop. She puts it over her back and underneath her armpit with the buckle of the belt facing forward in front of her. She pulls the belt all the way up to the back of her armpit to take out all the slack that's there. And then she flips it over her head. And when she does that, she pulls it down in the back and she tries to make the belt close to the sides of her neck. And if she can, she even crisscrosses the belt. This is where it's nice to have a partner, but you can learn to do this yourself, you see? And when she pulls it down strongly, it really drops the trapezius muscles. Then face us and let us see what it looks like from the front. And for those of you, especially women, who tend to get that osteoporotic or osteopenia kyphosis in the back, where it kind of collapses and creates what we call the dowager's hump. This is a fantastic way of pulling those muscles down, right? So flip it over like that, pull it down, good work. And let me see how everybody's doing. Everybody have a belt out there? Good. So
And then crisscross.
Carly, looks like you're choking yourself. What's going on with there? The belt has to go not over the shoulder, it has to go underneath the armpit, over the back and underneath the armpit. That's it. Both arms through.
So once you grab it, pulling it down and crossing.
You got to put your left arm through, Carly. Oh, everything. Arm, elbow, get it under the armpit.
Like that?
Your left arm has to go all the way through it so it clears the shoulder too. Yeah, now bring it over the shoulder so it's behind the armpit. Yeah, clear the elbow. Get it off the elbow. Yeah, it's too short. You have to have a big belt.
Yeah, I don't think I have a long enough belt.
Yeah, well, at least now it's clear. It's cleared your head. So if you don't have a long enough belt, what you do is interlock your fingers behind yourself. Yeah, forget the belt. Interlock and pull the shoulders back and down and close the palms. It takes it in a similar direction, even though it doesn't necessarily pull the muscle down because you don't have a contact with the belt.
Oh, I think I know.
See quick, how are we doing there? Yeah, what are you doing with the belt? Your belt is short too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so if the belt is too short, then what I suggest is just interlock your fingers behind. It's called karmasana. We'll come back to this in a second and it'll help you.
Okay.
Do the best you can.
I had the fingers in the back.
Right. All right, so that's the basic idea, right? You take the trapezius muscles down. This is a major movement in so many back bends in yoga. That's it, Mike, like that, right? But again, get the belt close to the sides of your neck. So this is what we call trapezius traction, right? If we were in class, speak up.
Gabriel, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Gabriel, do we still keep the same form of Tadasana with the legs?
Of course.
Okay, ankles together, feet together.
Yes. Outside in, squeeze in, outside in, inside back. All right, so you lift up and you do Tadasana the rest of your body. So here's the idea. Notice how broad your chest is. As soon as you lift your spine, your chest goes up and wide. The front chest goes up, the back chest goes down. That's all we're really teaching, right? So this is an important thing to learn to overcome, because if you slouch, everybody slouch for a second, you take it right into the neck and the shoulders. Can you feel that? So basic Tadasana, this just gives you an extra movement of dropping the trapezius muscles down. Got it? All right, out you go. Next, take the belt out. Watch Tracy. Make the belt a smaller loop, and you're going to put it right where the wrists meet the palm. Clear the wrist bone. So when you put your hand through the bottom in the center, put it just above the wrist, Tracy, not the forearm.
Okay.
And have the hands spread so the middle finger is as wide as your armpit. Jill, you have to go wider. Middle finger as wide as your armpit. Stand in Tadasana. So Carly, let me see that belt. So
I
now
don't think I have a long
that's
enough.
good. So, no, that's good. For this one, you don't need a long one. Now put your hands through. Good. Now, good. Raise your hands, line with your shoulders. Straighten your elbows. Straighten your elbows, Carly. Straight arms. Your arms look like they're bent. Stretch your arms straight ahead of you. Why are you bending your arms? Tracy, show her what her arms look like from the side. Carly, your arms are bent. Tracy's arms are straight. Don't you see it? Not over your head, straight ahead. Can you not see Tracy's screen?
I can't see.
Why
Can
not?
you pin me?
Pin her.
Oh, now I can see.
Yeah, but that's because
Oh,
I'm,
Okay,
you need
good.
to, pin me.
Right, so burst the belt, everybody. Now,
Oh,
fingers are together and thumbs stretched away. Fingers together, thumbs stretched away. Heidi, can you raise your screen? I can only see your legs. I can't see your hands. All right, Mike, the arms are out in front of you now. Where's your belt? Yeah, take it off the trapezius. Yeah, that's right. Now, the middle finger's in line with your armpit. Burst the belt. When you burst the belt, pull the shoulders back into yourself and drop them down. Carly, your belt is too narrow. You got to widen it. You have to widen the loop of your belt, Carly.
Hello.
Now, it's not just raising your arms up. It's raising your arms up while bursting the belt slowly, evenly. Kimberly, your belt is too narrow. So slowly start to raise your belt as you exhale and watch how Tracy does.
Mixed bag.
Go ahead. Every degree that you raise your arms up, pull out on the belt and drop your shoulders. And find out how different one arm feels compared to the other. At what point does one arm start to bend? At what point does one arm feel weak or you feel a glitch? Do it a few times. Inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, drop the arms down. Now, some of you might want to stop halfway. Stop 3/4 of the way. Re-energize the belt. Keep dropping the shoulders off your neck. This is called shoulder flexion. Shoulder flexion. Keep working your legs. Don't let the tension off your legs as the arms raise up and down. Now, when you raise your arms up, maintain Tadasana. If you look at Tracy, she's slightly poking her ribs forward. Bring your bottom ribs in and bring your tailbone pelvis under. There you go. Keep your thighs working. All right? Bursting the belt, slowly go down. Keep an even pull on it. All right? That's shoulder flexion, but non-weight bearing. Now, take the belt behind you and put it on your wrists, but now your hands are behind you. Open up your loop, Carly.
And maybe turn sideways.
All right, so now, if you're watching Tracy, she's going to show you the same thing. How can you slowly roll your shoulders down and back, burst the belt out, and slowly lift your arms up as you pull behind you? Don't drop your chin or poke your chest forward to raise your arms higher. Don't forget your Tadasana in your legs. Come on, everybody. Burst the belt and lift your arms up. This is shoulder extension against resistance. Now, for those of you who use the belt to take the trapezius muscles down, right, do that yourself. As you pull the hands back and up, pull the trapezius muscles and the shoulder sockets down. And again, rib cage in, tailbone under. Don't poke, chin up, and breathe. And notice the discrepancy between one side and the other. All right, so this is shoulder extension, non-weight bearing. Got it? Okay, good. Inhale, exhale, and out you go. You all have a chair.
Yes.
Sit down on a chair. Face the camera. If you don't have a chair, then just sit down on the floor. Sit to the front of the chair so you're not using the chair for your spine. You're using it to take pressure off your legs. All right? Mudra for your hands. Tuck your thumb into your palm. Drop your fingers over your thumb. Place your hands at the root of your thigh. Shoulders up, back, and down. Lift your chin. All right, neck flexion, neck extension, neck rotation, neck side bending. Inhale your breath. Raise your chin up to the ceiling. Keep your teeth together. Exhale, drop your chin toward your chest.
What do you mean? I had a pile of broccoli. I didn't finish the broccoli, no.
Catherine, I know you had a pile of broccoli, but could you please mute yourself?
Sorry.
Thank you. Inhale, raise the chin up toward the ceiling. Exhale, drop your chin to your chest. Inhale, raise the chin to the ceiling. Exhale, drop the chin to the chest. All right, inhale, bring your head up onto your spine. Exhale, turn your head and your gaze to your right. Inhale, bring your head to the center. Exhale, turn your head and your chin to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Now, eyes open. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. And then look with your eyes further to the left and see how your head goes a little bit more. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Look with your eyes further and see if you go a little bit more. Then inhale, center. Exhale, take a breath here. Side bending, as if there's a rubber band pulling your right ear toward your right shoulder and stretching the left side of your neck to your left shoulder. Tilt toward the right. Inhale, bring your head to center. With an exhale, lean it to the left. Feel the rubber band stretching the right ear to the right shoulder. Inhale, center. Side bend right. Look up with your chin to the center. Inhale, center. Side bend left. Look up with your chin from the center. Inhale, center. Side bend right. Look down with your chin. Inhale, center. Side bend left. Look down with your chin. Inhale, center. And relax. So simple exercises. Ligament strengthening exercises that your chiropractor would teach you. Take your right hand, put it on the right side of your head with your elbow out to the side. You're going to push your head to the left, but instead of just letting your head go, as your hand pushes, your head resists. So push it to the left and resist and let go. See, Mike, my head doesn't move. Notice I push it to the left and the head resists. No, my head is right in the center, Mike. See, like that. You feel it and let go. Feel what it does to the pectoral muscles all the way to your head. Push it to the left and resist. And let go. Other side, hand to the right. If there was no resistance, the head would just go like that. But as I push it to the right, I resist it. Hold it 5 seconds. Let it go. Resist again. Feel what it does to the pec, to the arm, to the trap, to the neck. And let it go. Third time, resist it. And let it go. Take a breath. Now, hands to the back. If there was no resistance, my head would just come down as my hands press. But as I press my hands forward, my head resists back. And I let it go. I press it forward, resist back. Let it go. Press it forward, resist back. Let it go. Take a breath. Same thing in flexion, in extension. If there was no resistance, my head would just go back like that. But now I'm going to push it and resist forward. And let it go. Try to push it back, resist forward. Let it go. Third time. Push it back, resist forward. Let it go. Take a breath. Nice. Nerve tensing exercise. Tracy, you wouldn't go over this, so just go this with me. Nerve tensing exercise. Put your thumb into the palm, wrap the fingers around the palm. Stretch your hands out to your side with the palms facing down. And then if I pin my video, you'll all see me, right? But you can't see my arm. How can we do this? I'm going to turn my thing, right? Arm out to the side in a fist. flex the wrist up. Flex the wrist, so thumb is in, flex the wrist up. Okay? Then turn the hand out and flex the wrist back. Both hands. Good. Now, bend the arm at the elbow and raise it like this, so the fist is turned upward and you're bringing it back in line with your ear. If you're very tight, just go over your head, but start moving it that way and turn the wrist up. So the pinky side goes behind you, both hands at the same time. Good. Now, arm out to the side. Once again, turn the palm back so the knuckles face forward. Then flex the wrist back. Flex it back and move it toward the pinky side of your hand, not the thumb side of your hand. Good. And then finally, bring the arm into yourself by the side body, as if your hands would move by your rib cage and go up toward your armpit. All right, enough, out you go. All right, now watch Tracy. Dog pose, weight bearing this time. So now you got to get on the floor, get your belt. She's going to show you, watch her first.
Gabriel, how do you want the belt on my forearms?
Remember, you had it on your elbow point, that's okay. So you have to open up, buckle in the center.
Gabriel,
Yeah?
can you unpin yours again or something?
I can. Thank you so much. There we go. Okay, good. So make it a little wider, Tracy. A little wider. Okay, now come onto the floor. And then once you're there, widen your hands as much as you can. All right, burst the belt. Burst the belt out so it's tight, and then exhale, go into dog pose. Yes. Good. Stretch those heels down, right? And walk your hands a little further forward. You want to get more weight toward the ball mount of your palm, not the heel of your hand, as you burst the belt. Very nice. All right? No one has spoken up, so that means no one says they're in pain yet, which is very nice. But notice how this shifts the weight off of your hand up into the shoulder. Great. So only speak up if there's difficulty, you don't understand what to do. Eileen, do you not have a belt? I can't hear you, Eileen. No, even though it says you're unmuted, I'm not hearing you. I don't know what happened there, dear. All right, don't forget, breathe. Breathe. As you burst the belt, roll the shoulders away from your neck. Don't squinch your shoulders in towards your ears.
Can you hear me now?
That's, but yeah, good. What's up?
I just had a kyphoscopy, kyphoplasty last Thursday, so I'm not going to do dog pose.
Okay.
Too soon.
Okay. That's good. All right. So can you feel the way the belt is helping you to shift the weight to the shoulder and off of the hand? Yes?
Yes.
Very good. All right, so come down. Take the belt off. Now here's an interesting thing. This is just an extra thing I'm showing you there. Tracy, do dog pose again.
Without the belt?
Without the belt. I forgot whether or not we went over that, so we'll see. So when you do dog pose, this is just a general hatha yoga tip, right? Open up your arms, come on, walk your arms further forward, get a nice diagonal stretch there. So now, if you're strong enough, right, hold the pose with one hand, and for the camera purpose, you're going to keep your right hand on the floor, Tracy, use your left hand. Take your left hand, find your pelvic rim, So first, show the top of the thigh, right? Show the hip socket, which is the side. Show the buttock bone, which is the back. And now show the pelvic rim. So it's a slightly different area. right? Don't move your thighs back from the root of the femur or the hip socket, but touch the pelvic rim and move from the pelvic rim back. Can you see the action going from the pelvic rim? Tracy, tell everybody the difference. Can you feel it?
I can feel it. I'm just losing steam on my right arm.
Okay. So now go back to the hands on the floor.
Okay.
And now, with that understanding, put your mind not in the thigh, not in the hip, not in the buttock bone, but in the pelvic rim, and take your legs back from the pelvic rim. There you go. All right. Everybody, just give that a shot quickly. See if you can understand that.
Hey, real question.
Yeah.
Is this if using an assist with a belt, kind of from behind, taking it across that upper crease area? Would that do that same kind of action?
It could. You just have to, it's a tricky placement. It's much easier to put it below the pelvic rim at the root of the thigh, but then you're giving the contact sensation in a different place. Yeah, it could be done. It could be done. The other thing is, Eileen, what about Ardha Uttanasana? Is that contraindicated for you at this stage? Yeah, okay, so pass on that. All right, that's good. So see if you can hold with one hand and touch the pelvic rim with the other hand and give yourself the contact sensation that makes you realize, oh, I want to take my thighs back from the head of the pelvis, not the side of the femur, not the hip socket, not the buttock bone. Yeah, it becomes really clear. It's a very different place.
Hey, Gabriel, quick question here. So when you dig in on the side, you feel the femur or rather the hip, pelvic bone coming out.
Right, the anterior superior iliac spine, right.
Is that the position where the pelvic rim would start essentially?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay, thank you.
All right, down you go, everybody. All right, now, watch Tracy set up this next pose. So this is to help you take your arms through range of motion. So first you're going to do Prasarita Padottanasana, which is wide leg stretch. And she's going to give herself some extra support by taking the belt loop, if you have one that's wide enough. And she's going to place the belt loop under the feet from arch to arch so that she's going to have something to resist her legs out against. Now, how wide you make the belt is going to depend upon both how flexible you are in your inner leg and hamstring, but also, right, when she tightens the belt and resists her feet out against that, she puts her hands to her hips.
You want the belt on the ground?
The belt is on the ground under both arches, yes.
Nice.
Okay. Hands are on her hips. Please watch her first. Watch her first. Learning is as much looking as it is doing, listening. So first she does a halfway extension to the floor, elbows back, leads with the chin, bursts the belt, and hangs there. Stop. Then she takes her hands to the floor directly underneath her shoulders. No, hands to the floor directly underneath, and look up with your chest. Look up with your chest, chin. So do you see, even though she's flexible enough to go to the floor, the height of her spine dropped down. Did you see that? The height of her spine dropped down. By the way, Tracy, didn't we do the belt on your hips the other day to take away the spine? Is it better? Is it better already?
No.
All right. So this is what we discovered with Tracy the other day. That's a better variation for her because she was getting a hip glitch. So we put the belt at the root of her thigh bone, what I call the thut, where the thigh meets the buttock, and we pinned it in so the tailbone was moving into the midline. Her affected side was the right side, correct?
Correct.
So notice how we tied the belt so the tail moved from the right to the left toward the midline. Now, when she bends over with that extra support, it stabilizes the femur head. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So even though she's down here like that, you see the height of her spine went down. So I'm going to tell her, come up on your fingertips. See, now it came up higher. Or I was going to say, get a couple of blocks. If you don't have blocks, just use your fingertips. So again, start off with the blocks high up and have the hands facing, fingers facing forward. So now she has a parallel spine, you see. And if you look at her arms, especially ladies, most ladies have a more distinct carrying angle than men do. It's just the way the bones of female anatomy, right? So for her body, notice her right elbow is kind of caving in a little bit. So she has to slightly move her inner right elbow to her outer right elbow. No, not turning it, just inside out. That way, just like that. Feel how, see, now go back the other way. Watch her. See, it squeezes in. Don't do that. So make parallel arms, right. Now chin up in the front, buttock up in the back like a rocking horse. So this is stage 1. All right, everybody do this. Either on blocks or not on blocks. All right, I'm looking to see how you do it. Now again, if you don't have blocks, just do it on your fingertips. Keep the kneecaps pulled up strongly. In fact, look at your leg. You remember the Brahma Sutra? Where's the center of the quadricep, the middle of the kneecap, and the middle of the foot between the 2 ankles? Is it an absolute straight line? Compare one leg to the other leg. And then squeeze the hip sockets in, but burst the buttock bones out. All right, now looking up with your chin. Pull your collarbones forward, but stretch your thighs back from the pelvic rim. From the pelvic rim, just like you did in dog pose. All right, now watch Tracy. Turn your hands to the outside, 90 degrees. So for those of you who remember how to read a clock and aren't lost in digital, your middle fingers are turned to 3 and 9 o'clock. Once again, ladies, look at the carrying angle of your elbows. How can you turn your arms to make your inner and outer arms straight? From inner armpit to wrist, from outer armpit to the back of the wrist. So Rochelle, you're squeezing the elbows in, slightly pull them out. That way, there you go. See, feel that action. Look at how much more parallel they are when you do that. Again, chin up, collarbone pull forward, rib pull forward, thighs stretch back from the pelvic rim. Great, and breathe. Chin up, Mandy, chin up. Corey, chin up. Remember, rocking horse action, chin up in the front, buttock up in the back. Now, don't lose the leg action. Watch Tracy. Turn your hands all the way toward yourself. Fingertips face back toward yourself. Notice how hard it is to make the wrist creases absolutely parallel. If you have a block there or it's the front edge of your mat, make it parallel. How much more do you have to turn your arms? And yet how difficult it is to make those elbows parallel. Widen your hands a little bit. Get toys outside. Yeah, and slightly pull the inner elbow to the outer elbow. Good, and lift up chin and breathe. Feel what this does to your collarbone. Feel what it does to your neck. All right, take 3 breaths together as a group. Inhale and exhale. See quick, keep your head up.
8:15.
Inhale and exhale. Till 8:15, we're going to 8:15, whoever that was. Yes, we are. Inhale and exhale.
I know.
All right. Slowly put your hands to your hips. Push out into the belt. Lead with your chin. Inhale, come on up. Tuck your tush. Way to go. Great. Nicely done. All right. If you have a chair, fine. Watch what she's going to do. If you don't have a chair, we'll do this on the floor. Does everybody have a chair? Yes? All right. So the first time Tracy does this, she's going to have her chair facing. Tracy, turn your chair around so it faces away from the camera, the other way. So when she sits on the side of the chair, then she'll be turning toward you, so she'll see what the front of her body looks like. When she goes to the other side, she'll turn the chair around so you can see what the back of her body looks like. So everybody sit in your chair like this and sit on the side of the chair. Yeah, Mandy, turn your chair around so when you finish twisting, I'll be seeing your face. Ann, turn your chair around. I want to be seeing you.
Just mimic you.
Heidi, turn your chair so it faces the wall. Chair seat faces the wall. Then you sit on the side. That's it. See quick, turn your chair to face me. The other way, keep going. Back of the chair facing me. Now sit on the side. That's it. Now I can see your front. Okay, good. Now, Tracy's going to turn, so she's turning to her left. So when you're twisting, you have to be twisting to your right. So sit on your chair so you're twisting to your right. So that should be the same. Okay, all right. Good. Carly, turn the back of your chair towards the camera. No, get up, turn the chair toward the camera. No, you got to get out of the chair, dear. Turn the back of the chair to face the camera. And then sit on the side of the chair. Now turn to the side. And now turn to the back of the chair. There we go. Okay, so watch Tracy for a second. So if you start off, face the side of the chair, Tracy. If you just, watch what she's gonna do. If you just start to the side of the chair and then you simply turn to the chair and start twisting, even if I say to you, lift the chest up and rotate without losing height of the chest, you've already lost height just by doing that. Whereas if you change the way you approach the beginning of the chair, start again, watch Tracy. So now, instead, if what you do is raise your hands up in the air, like Urdhva Hastasana, lengthen the side of your trunk up, twist to the back of the chair, maintaining the lift, and then as you drop your hands to the chair, don't lose the lift. It's much more challenging to do that and stay in the lifted position. Tell them that it's the truth, Tracy. True. All right, so hold the chair with your hands and twist. Now, if you're twisting to your right, your left chest comes closer to the chair than the right chest. So dash the left hand against the chair and pull your left chest back. And with your right hand, grip on the chair and turn your right chest forward. Yes, push left, pull right. And don't poke your ribs out to the left. Suck your ribs into the midline. Yes, feel that? Now, every inhale, lengthen the spine. Every exhale, rotate without losing the height. And then turn your head in the direction of the twist and notice what it feels like in your neck. Take a couple of breaths there. Drop the shoulders down. Remember, make your eyes go even more. And now turn your head opposite the twist and notice the difference feeling you get in your neck and your chest. Every inhale, lift your chest. Every exhale, rotate your spine. Keep the thigh furthest away from the back of the chair down. As you twist, don't let that outer thigh come up. All right, inhale, exhale, come back to center and take a breath. Turn to the other side of the chair. Now, feel the difference. If you just turn to the back of the chair, go ahead, turn to the back of the chair without the arms, turn. Press the chair, no, without the arms, come on, turn. Press the chair down, lift the chest up. So notice the difference just going into the pose this way, right? As opposed to, start again, raise your arms up, feel the length of the rib cage off of the waistline, keep the lift up, turn toward the back of the chair, and now losing as little height as possible, grab the chair and start to twist. And notice how much different the length of your chest is right from the get-go. So push with the right, pull with the left, the opposite side. Every time you inhale, lengthen the spine. Every time you exhale, without losing the height of the spine, rotate more. Start by turning your head in the direction of the twist. See what it feels like. And then turn the head opposite the twist. See what it feels like. Don't lose the turning your chest, Tracy. When you turn your head, keep twisting. Twisting to your right. Yeah, there you go. And turn the head opposite. There you go. Don't tilt your spine. Lean your spine toward your knees. So you're turning around a tighter central axis. All right? Got it? Inhale, exhale, come on back to the center. So that is scapular rotation. We flexed the spine. We extended the spine, extended the shoulders. That was rotating the shoulders, rotating the shoulder blades. Very nice. Okay. So one of the things I like to teach in almost all classes, for those of you who studied with me, is take the spine or whatever part of the body you're working through its range of motion. Make sure you flex it, make sure you extend it, make sure you rotate it, and really important, make sure you invert it. That means make sure you put that part of the body with respect to gravity where blood flows into it. Because one of the therapeutic principles is increase circulation to the area that's affected. How do you increase circulation? You increase blood flow because blood carries oxygen. So basically, increase oxygenation or circulation to whatever the affected part is by putting it in a position where, with respect to gravity, the G-force is going to work in your favor. So Tracy is going to watch. So again, remember, this is a learning experience. Watch what Tracy does for the next minute or two. So come out of the chair, my dear. Make sure you spotlight her, everyone, so you can see what's going on. So there's 2 or 3 different variations we're going to do just to show you headstand, either preparation for headstand or variation of what you can do. So first, for people who have no experience in headstand, this is the first thing I want you to do. Did we do this with a belt? Did we do this with a belt? I remember this. Put it down for a second, doesn't matter. So come on your knees, go on the side, interlock your fingers. So this is the easiest stage for people who have no experience in headstand and who do not want to put their head and neck on the floor. That's okay. We want to build you up methodically. So notice how she has a tripod base. So the first thing you have to do is get the 3 actions for the base of the pose. The first action is press your wrist bones straight down. The second action is pin your elbows in a bit. And the second action is round your upper back so you move the shoulder blade off the humerus head and your head can drop down completely without it touching the floor. Then maintaining wrist press, elbow pin, and shoulder lift. Exhale, do dog pose with your legs. And then walk in. Get as vertical as you can with your spine. If your hamstrings are tight, you're not going to go in too much. That's okay. But for every degree that you walk in, stop, press the wrists, pin the elbows, lift the shoulders. And when you can't go any further, lift the heels off the floor. Don't raise, and just, and get height from the buttock. Walk your feet in. And see, get like that. So that's vertical. That's like almost Ardha Sirsasana. Everybody get that? That's stage 1. Exhale, down you come. So everyone can try that for sure. So everybody, let's give that a shot. Go into it and I'll show you the next one. Come on, quickly. Only have another 15 minutes left. Let's make the most of it. So onto the floor, interlock your fingers, close the palms. Start with the shoulders right over the elbows. Press the wrist bone down, slice the wrist bone down, right where the ulna and radius meet the carpal bones, right there in the center. Then pin your elbows slightly in toward each other. Notice what that does. Then lift the shoulder blades up by rounding your upper back. Your head should be able to hang completely with no weight on it. Maintaining that. Exhale, lift your legs up. Re-energize, wrist, elbow, and shoulder. Pause, breathe. Let the blood start to come into your head. Now, slowly walk your feet toward yourself. Just an inch or 2. Stop right there. Re-energize, wrist down. Elbow in, shoulder up. If you can walk in more. But don't collapse your chest. Challenge your chest toward your legs like you would in dog pose. How do you move your spine in dog pose? Walk in a 3rd time. Once you can't get any further in, lift your heels high off the floor and roll that buttock over your kidneys. Way to go, Matt. That's it. Good. Shoulders up. Don't give up. Yogis don't panic. Yogis don't crumble. All right, take a breath. All right, everybody, inhale, exhale, down you come. All right. Now, next stage. Now remember, just a side note. If you were taking classes with me, I wouldn't have you do headstand until you've already been vetted on being able to do shoulder stand first. That develops enough upper body strength that you won't hurt your neck. And therapeutically, even if you did headstand before, I might not be so quick to put you on your head right away, but I could give you a position that strengthens your upper shoulder girdle. You have to think of your shoulders as a girdle. Your collarbones, your upper arm bones, and the shoulder blades, and how they connect to the rib cage and the spine. This is what we're really working. So watch Tracy for this next variation. You need a wall for this and a block. If you don't have a wall and a block, don't worry about it. Just repeat stage 1. But watch her. She's going to come close to the wall. She's going to put the short end of her mat against the wall. And Tracy, didn't we do this so we had a side view of you? There we go. Now you got to drop the camera so I can see the floor. So you see she puts the short end of the mat next to the wall. And this is where, if you're a beginning student, a foam block is nice because it has some stability, but it doesn't weigh a lot. A cork block is also stable, but it's a little bit more heavy. Of course, in our studio, we use wood blocks. They call them bricks in yoga, so you got to be a little more careful because you don't want to drop it on your head. All right? So she comes next to the wall, and she has the block next to her. All right, she interlocks her fingers and she that's it, and puts it right next to the wall. That's her measurement. So now she knows how far away from the wall she needs to be. Now watch the placement of her hands on the block. She takes the block and she holds it in her fingers, and she has two fingers barely holding it. Notice how she has the short end facing, no, turn it the other way, dear. That's it. Short end faces both the wall and her back, right? So she gets it up into the wall with her fingers. She clears her neck and shoulders. She holds it in place. She exhales. She does dog pose with her legs till she has to hold the block until she gets it in place. She wedges it in place. Aha. And then she returns her hands to the floor. And now she has a tremendously stable position for her upper back and neck. Tell everybody how safe you feel in your upper back and neck. She's muted, but she's telling you it's safe, right? Okay. Now, lift your heels off the wall and go even higher. That way. It's beautiful. See? Now she's really getting the Ardha Sirsasana feeling and getting all that blood into her head and neck and shoulders, but no strain on her head or brain. Got it? And then because it's foam, she doesn't have to worry about exhale, take her knees down. It's not going to bop her on the head and hurt her. All right, everybody, either do stage 1 again without the block or take your block and do it again. Nice work, Tracy. Unmute yourself and tell everybody how good that was.
That felt really good. It didn't feel painful. It wasn't scary. It felt therapeutic, and it felt like my spine was longer.
So you mean yummy, not yucky?
Yummy, not yucky.
Okay, that's good. All right, everybody, give it a shot. Come on. We got 5 more minutes. Let's try to get everything in. So get your block, get close to the wall, interlock your fingers like you did before. So this is teaching you how far away from the wall you need to be. All right, now, hold the block. You saw the way she did it. Barely touch it with your fingers on either side. Short end faces you. Hold it firmly into the wall. Clear your neck. And then exhale. Lift your legs. Walk in. Wedge it in place. You know, Tracy, don't have it against your back before you go up. Have it just into the wall and then wedge it in. Nice. Now walk in. Wedge it in. It should be flush. Exactly. Head is hanging completely. Now, just because you have the block, don't take your legs all the way up, Rochelle. Just walk in. Just because you have the block against your back, you still have to press the wrist. You still have to pin the elbow. You still have to lift the shoulders. Now, join the legs together on the midline. One single thread. Squeeze the hips, squeeze the knees, squeeze the ankles. R&J, bring your feet together. And then when you can get no further, lift the heels off the floor and raise the buttock higher up. That's it. Now walk in. Hold it with your hands until you wedge it in place. Get outside, toys. Raise the block higher. Good. Now wedge it. Now walk in first while you hold it. While you hold it. Once it's secured, then reach your hands down. That's it. All right, everybody, take 3 long, slow, deep breaths. Breathe in, breathe out. Don't hold. Breathe in, breathe out. Don't hold. Breathe in, breathe out. Don't hold. All right. Slowly, down you come. Exhale. Relax. Wait in child's pose for a second. Notice how nice your neck and shoulders feel. No pain at all. All right. Final pose, like restorative pose. The modification of Setu Bandha, right? So you got to get a block for this. Now, again, watch Tracy set up and then you can do it right away. No big deal. You're going to start off on your back. You need a block. And did we do with a blanket in the shoulders as well as the second variation? Remember?
Yes, we did.
All right.
Yes, we did.
So watch these 2 or 3 variations. You can pick them up right away. Right. So first stage, have nothing. Just have the props near you. And also we need a belt. All right. Make the belt the width of your wrists. Get that ready, everybody. So you've already had some experience in making belt loops. So when you put it on your wrist, like go a little wider because your hands will be behind you, a little wider. Right. By experience, you'll understand in a moment what to do. All right, so that's it. So take it out, have it by your side. All right, so first stage, all right, stretch your legs out, lengthen through your hips, good. Now bend the legs at the knees, bring the feet into you. So stage 1 is simply pressing the feet down, lifting the hips up, interlocking your fingers underneath you, rolling your shoulders under, and getting some extra height in Chatushpadasana. Everybody get that? So everybody try that. Stage 1. Lie on your back. Bring your legs straight out first. Bend the legs into yourself. Walk the feet in, close to your buttock. Bridge your hips up. Interlock your fingers underneath you. Now remember, before we did the extension of the arms with and without the belt. So here it is, but now it's weight bearing. It's weight bearing. Good. So that's stage 1. All right. Exhale, release, take your hands out, roll down, down you come. Stage 2. Use the belt. So now get it by your side. Bridge the hips up, and once you're up, put the belt underneath your hips on the wrists with the palms facing out. Right? So watch Tracy. Bridge up. Put the palms on through the belt. Yeah, and turn the palms up and spin the shoulders under. Yes. And then bursting the belt, go up a little higher and feel what that does for your neck and shoulders. Free the chin. Lift the chest to the chin. Don't just dig the chin down. And make sure your hips, from your hip to your knee, rolls in. From hip to knee, roll in. And breathe. Good. Now notice the feeling you're getting in your chest, your shoulders, and your neck right now. Got it? All right. Undo the belt. Keep your hips working. Then roll yourself. Come on down. All right. Take a breath when you're here. Now, if you have a blanket, watch what she's going to do. Come up. Take your blanket, and from single standard fold, which is if your blanket is folded like this, which is widthwise 3 times, that's like we use for shoulder stand. Fold it once more lengthwise in half, so it looks like this. Show them. Like that. Put that down on the floor, closed edge the other way, short end faces the side mat. No, short ends of the, yeah, but turn it around the other way. So the closed edge is toward your head side, not the mat side. There you go, like that, see? So we're gonna start off with 1, and then we're gonna do 2 to see if it makes a difference. So put the other one down for a second, lie back down, and use the blanket now to get extra height in your shoulders. So she lies down, the shoulders are right to the edge of the blanket, her head is clear. Go back another inch or 2. No, the other one. Don't fold it there. Keep it. You walk back on it more. See, so the neck is free, you see? So now she's gonna press, lift the hips up, interlock her fingers, roll the shoulders under, with or without the belt, it doesn't matter. Now go back another inch or 2 with your head, shoulders toward your head. Come on, keep going. Walk back 2 or 3 inches more on the blanket. Keep going. There you go. See her neck, keep going. Now her neck is free, completely. You get it? So with or without the blanket. Notice the difference. Can you tell us in words what's the difference by having the extra blanket, Tracy?
I feel like I'm a little bit longer through the spine, and there's no like pressure or pulling in my neck. I have length in my neck.
Everybody get it? Now, this is by experiment. How will you know? Remember, the body is a laboratory for perpetual research and experimentation. Only if you try it this way, try it that way, will you know, with or without the belt. Now, come on down. add a second blanket and see, is it too much height or is it even better? So try it again this way and see whether or not the extra height frees the neck even more. So you bridge up, use your breath, interlock your fingers, with or without the belt, it doesn't matter, and get the extra height. Yes. Now look at how much more vertical her sternum is coming. But keep your chin slightly tucked here, but lift your chest to the chin at the same time. Right, just like that. Your legs have to help you. Good. How's that feel? Same, better, or worse? Yeah, pretty good. Get it, everybody? All right, so find which one works for you and hold it for a few seconds with some breath and feel the release in your neck and chest. And remember, this is another way you can get blood into your face, into your neck, into your shoulders without actually putting weight on your skull like you did in headstand or even in shoulder stand. Rochelle, are you okay? Okay. That's it. Don't let those legs splay out. Remember, outer hip to outer knee, challenge in. All right, so this is good. You understand? You've had enough. Bridge yourself up, roll down, out you go. And now lie down on your back for a little shavasana. Put a little blanket or bolster across your knees, relax your low back. Put a small blanket underneath your neck to relax your skull. Let's have a little cool down. So we're a few minutes over. Please forgive me, but you need to take a 5-minute shavasana. Now, once you find the right position to support yourself, now's the time to do another body scan, a map of your body, but make it as symmetrical as you can. Remember, beginners just enjoy lying in shavasana. They don't even think about the alignment. But the fact that it's an asana, it's an assumed position. So that means, to the best of your ability, everything you've learned about the discrepancies in your body and how you want to make them as symmetrical as possible from the midline, do so. Gently close your eyes without disturbing the pupil underneath. Let the skin of your temples recede backwards and inwards. The brain moving into the back and the base of your skull, the eyes moving into the back and the base of their sockets. The whole front of your body releasing to the back of your body. First, physically surrender yourself to the actual floor. The chances are highly unlikely that the joists underneath the floor is going to give away. So can you relax by not having to hold yourself together? The floor will hold you up. Then psychologically, surrender yourself to Mother Earth. Cast your burden. The earth can take it. There's no need to even breathe in any specific way. Your breath will naturally find its own length, depth, quietness. You're going to experience now not only the integration of the triune brain, so your instinctual self, your emotional self, and your rational self will all be working in concert, in collaboration with one another, cooperating with one another, communicating with one another. And the brain chemicals that you're experiencing now, the endorphins from a little bit of challenge at your frontier, the serotonin that makes you relax, makes you want to go to sleep, the oxytocin from stroking your skin, the feel-good sensations in the skin, and the dopamine from the rhythm of movement and breathing. So you've really given yourself a dose of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin. So enjoy the fruit of your practice for a few minutes in silence. As you get ready to come back to your daily life, remember the end of every session is a golden opportunity for you to use your own positive affirmations to program and reprogram your own biocomputer. First, you affirm to yourself that you understand and will apply these tried and true principles by relaxing and reducing your conscious resistance and mental effort to a minimum. Or as they like to say, pray with a feather, not a pickaxe. Learn to condense an idea and sum it up in a brief phrase, and calmly in your mind, see it coming into fuller fruition from this moment forward. And say something to yourself like, I see myself as radiant, happy, and free. Feel in this moment the joyfulness and restfulness of what you've just accomplished. And whatever you feel is true in this moment will be resurrected as your experience. I see myself as radiant, happy, and free. Remember, whatever you tell your subconscious mind with great belief, that part of you will help bring it to pass through the law of attraction. Whatever you focus on, the law of attraction helps to be more. What are you picturing in your mind? Make a blueprint of the best of everything and being illumined and inspired from within by the healing presence within you. Say to yourself, I see myself as radiant, happy, and free. May that ever be so. If you drifted off and lost conscious contact with your breath, slowly float your awareness back to the inhale and exhale cycles. Notice how every inhale seems to revivify you, bring you vitality and upbeat qualities. Every exhale, maintain the anchoring into the calmness and quietness that you feel, which we call shanti in yoga, or inner peace. Every new inhale, closer to the surface with zest for life and the passion that only you can bring to the world. Every exhale, maintain the sense of tranquility. Remind yourself how nice it is to be alert and relaxed at the same time. One final inhale, come back with zest for life. Remember, passion for existence. Happiness is something you're going to bring to the world, not something you expect to get from the world. And then with your final exhale, let go of whatever is holding you back from coming out of the closet and admitting, I'm living for spirit. All right, mindful of yourself. Neighbors, inhale, bring your knees to your chest. Careful if there are any props around you. Exhale, roll to your right with the head down, chin down, heart down. Stay there for a breath or two. And then tuck your chin to your chest. So it's the last thing to come up. Don't come up quickly. Press your sides. Sit up in any kind of cross-legged position. Bring your hands into namaste. Wait for everybody to catch up. Namaste, everybody. Thank you so much for showing up tonight. I appreciate it so much.